Hey folks, Pat here from DNS, and this Madison area fishing report is current as of Friday, June 13th. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. I hope today is your lucky day. We do have some stuff to talk about, and it's been pretty busy here at the shop, so hopefully we can get through all this. Southern Wisconsin Trout Unlimited is having another casting clinic. So if you've ever wanted to learn how to fly fish, this is a great opportunity to do so. They're going to be meeting at Salmo Pond, which is just west of here, Salmo Pond County Park, near Black Earth, from 10 a.m. to noon tomorrow. So head down there. They're going to have folks on hand to show you what's up. They got folks talking about what trout eat, how to read water, and yeah, it's a great opportunity. They did have this mentoring program that they were doing, but I think you had to RSVP for that earlier. So, but anyway, the casting clinic itself is excellent, and it's a great way to learn quickly. You can see here in some of these pics, real diverse mix of people that yeah, come out, and these events are always well attended, and you'll see why, because they're awesome. Great opportunity to learn fly fishing. So tomorrow, 10 to noon, Selma Pond. We have leeches. They're a good size. I got another crop coming in today. They'll last until about 4th of July. They start to kind of taper off in quality. So stop in and stock up if you want some to last into the summer. It's friggin' frogging time. So yeah, it's actually a little early. Usually this is like a July thing, but a lot of folks have been coming in the shop picking up frogs and doing well on them. So I thought, let's just switch out the end cap here. And I got some more on order, should be coming in maybe later today. But yeah, swing in, get some frogs. The bite for frog bass on frogs has been great. The front door doesn't have any posters on it. If you've got a poster for an event, especially if you're local, especially if it's a fishing related event, I'm happy to put it up and promote it. But right now, we just got a poster for the blood drive up the street, July 15th at the church. So yeah, I guess that really actually pretty much does it for shop news and announcements. So we can just get right into the report. As far as tournaments goes, the Milwaukee Bassers are back for another 60 boat tournament, but this time they're going to be up on Lake Mendota. That's on Saturday. And also the Youth Muskie Championship of Wisconsin is going to be down here on Sunday on Lake Wabisa. That's just 25 boats, but Wabisa is not a huge lake. I don't know where either of those tournaments are launching out of either. So just want to let you know you might see some more boats out there than usual. The Mendota buoy is currently reading 66.4 degrees, which is right about where we were last week. So despite some of the warm temps we had this last week, you know, uh, you can see that these cool nights are really keeping the temps down. I guess speaking of weather, other than some heat and the rain that came through Wednesday night, we had a gorgeous week here in Madison. Some warm days. Looks like a nice weekend ahead with only a slight chance of rain on Sunday and a bit of a warm up and scattered chances of rain through next week. But still some great weather to get out and do some fishing. Generally speaking, around town we got lots of spawning going on out there still, but it really depends on what lake you're talking about and species. So, for instance, down at Kianza, everything's pretty much done, but the bluegills, I do still hear that there's quite a good number of bluegills on beds. But then as you head up the chain on Wabisa, it's pretty much just bluegills spawning. Lake Monona, I was out there on Sunday and I saw a couple largemouths still on beds, but it was a lot of bluegills on beds. But then you get up here to Lake Mendota. I was out on Sunday on Mendota as well, and I saw smallmouth on beds. And I hear that there's some crappies out there on beds. Not many bluegills on beds. There are some largemouth on beds. So, it really is weather or water temperature dependent. So, with Mendota being, 66.5 degrees, it's chillier here. And then, those temps, as you go down the chain, like I always say, you can add about 2 degrees pretty reliably as you go down the chain. So, the water down here is warmer and those fish are done spawning, or wrapping up spawning down there, I should say. So yeah, it's sort of an interesting time. But and speaking of spawning, again, even though it's tempting, I would like to encourage folks to not keep fish if they're fishing beds, so they can do their thing, and we can keep having some of the great fishing we have here in Madison. But otherwise, around town, if you can get away from the weeds that are starting to get thick in many shallow areas around town, the pan fishing's been great. For gills, spikes, waxworms on an ice jig are great. Redworms on a little bit bigger jig are working well. Under a bobber or something is great. If you're looking for crappies, crappie minnows, excellent with a small crappie shaped plastic under a bobber is super effective. Bass anglers have been doing well in any number of presentations. Ned rigs and tubes, if you're working slow, maybe through some beds. Chatterbaits, swim baits, and crankbaits have also been great producers. Walleye anglers have been happy too. Folks fishing from shore have been seeing success mostly during low light hours, casting paddle tail swim baits and jerk baits like husky jerks if you can avoid the weeds. But if you're in a boat, look to those same shallow areas during low light periods and work deeper rocky shoreline breaks adjacent to shallow flats if you're fishing during the day. Otherwise, on the live bait side of things for walleyes, of course, we have walleye, minnows, blacktail chubs, small suckers, all work great. And like I said, we have leeches, and those are all a great option. Any of those live bait options, though, on a jig, drop shot, or a slip bobber can be super effective this time of year. If it's pike you're after, they'll grab just about anything you throw out there. But if you want to use live bait, or large shiners under a bobber are super effective. Haven't heard much in the way of muskies around town. The action's getting a little bit better, but usually this time of year, working a bucktail over the weeds can be kind of your safest bet there. And don't forget about trout. As always, I'll get into more details at the end of the report, like I do. But with the weeds, bugs, and heat being just around the corner, you better get out there and enjoy it while it lasts, because it's going to get a little gross here as soon as we move into June. Little detail here, Cherokee Marsh up on the north side, still, a bunch of weeds. It's going to be like that till ice up, really. There's going to be a bunch of weeds up there. But there are still some pockets I hear that shore guys are sneaking into, and then, running topwater frogs across the weeds has also been very effective. If you got a small watercraft, you can launch here at the School Road Launch, get out in the main channel and find some easier casting and some bass and a lot of smaller pike. Down on 113, catfish are still rocking and rolling down there. Cut bait's becoming less preferred as crawlers kind of take that place, but cut bait will still work. And then I also, of course, hear about the occasional walleye, pike, or bass, white bass, something, there's just random fish always kind of cruising through there. Catfish also down in North Bay still cruising around, but I have heard reports of catfish on other parts of the lake, so they are starting to disperse back out into the main lake, and that'll continue over the next week or two, and then you'll just be able to get them anywhere and everywhere. There's no real rhyme or reason to it, but they just kind of cruise around looking for food. Otherwise, on Lake Mendota, the water has been very clear out there lately, but it's got a little bit of color to it now. So where you were able to see maybe 20 feet down, no problem. Now it's like 10 or 15 feet. But like I said in the intro, smallmouth are wrapping up spawning, and I've heard a couple of reports of crappies on beds. I hear reports of a few gills here and there, but I don't feel like the water's warm enough for that spawn to be in full swing just yet. Generally speaking, though, if you're looking for panfish, look to shallow, kind of sandy with a little bit of gravel mixed in. You're probably going to find some beds or some beds forming in there. Great places for that are like U Bay, North Bay, a lot of the shoreline areas. This whole west end can hold fish down there. So, yeah, that's where you can find fish. And if you can find some weeds, even better. Otherwise, we got smallmouth bass are still, they could still be on beds. They got to be close. Largemouth bass are in beds on many shallow areas. For walleyes, look to rocky shoreline breaks and shallow flats. Places like along Tenney here in Maple Bluff, and that's the same areas you're going to find a lot of the smallmouth. Second Point, anywhere where there's some rocks. And I have heard some reports about fish moving out onto mid-lake humps already. So Dunn's Bar, Brearley Bar, Second Point, Commodore, are all worth a look now too. And if you can find weeds, especially in the middle of the day on a sunny day, you're likely going to, well, I shouldn't say likely, but you have a good chance of finding some walleyes out there. Tenny Park Breakwall's been seeing some good action, nice mixed bag of fish down there. Oh, I guess I forgot to mention pike, but I don't know. Pike are everywhere. You could put a treble hook on your keys and throw it out there, and a pike could probably grab it. But yeah, a lot of pike out there right now. Anyway, nice mixed bag of fish at the Tenny Park, Tenny Breakwall. And just getting some walleyes and some bluegills and some white bass in the Yahara River below the lock and dam, and white bass up and down the river. A lot of the walleye action happens at low light hours, and bluegills too, actually. Some decent action where the Yahara River dumps out, again at low light periods. Otherwise, Monona, the bluegills are really the star of the show out here right now. So they're spawning pretty much everywhere. You can go along any shoreline and probably find some beds. Other popular areas like Turtle Bay, Weechawak, formerly known as Squaw Bay, are good. And of course, Monona Bay holds fish as well. So the crappies are done spawning. I've heard that the crappies have, started showing up again at the Monona Terrace Wall, where they're going to hang out all summer. They have been getting some good bluegills over there, and some decent walleye action at night too. So always a nice mixed bag. You never know what you'll find there. Catching muskies over there, whatever. Great spot, and a very popular community spot over there. Over on Lake Wingra, a lot of small bluegills and some nice largemouth in there. And I've heard about a couple muskies coming out. Good panfish action usually below the Wingert Dam. Trying to think if anything. Oh, on Monona, I guess as far as muskies go, I just haven't heard much. Especially this last week, I didn't hear. I don't think I heard of one muskie caught, but they're out there, and folks are catching them. So, moving down the chain, if you can get launch at either Lake Farm or Lattice Park here, get up into Upper Mud. The panfish action at the dredge hole has been good, continues to be good. The action around the dredge hole and the shallow flats up there for bass is good, but the weeds are getting pretty thick in there. But yeah, a lot of bass hang out up there. Same thing on Lake Farm. Good. The weed cutters have been in there, so the weeds aren't as much of a problem, and the gills are forming beds up here on this whole south end, also down in the South Bay. If you're looking for walleyes and crappies, the southeast corner of the lake has good drop-offs and rock in there where you can find some fish. And also, I heard about a little bit of walleye action up near Hog Island, but I think that's all I know. I haven't heard of any muskie action, and bluegills are still on beds in many spots on Lake Wabisa. And moving down the chain to Kegonsa, there's been some great bluegill action up near Fish Camp County Park. Nice shallow flats out there. If you can find some weeds, you'll likely find some beds around them. But that kind of goes from what I hear all around the park. You know, find some shallow water, find some weeds, you'll probably find some gills. Been hearing about some good walleye action along the state park shoreline as usual. Let's see, in the area here. You know, I haven't heard anything off the Rock River. I guess since the white bass stopped running, I don't get a lot of folks headed down there. You know, there's bound to be a nice mixed bag of fish at the Indian Ford Dam. Same thing up at Jefferson Dam, Jefferson there. And, you know, down in Lake Koshkonong, Bait Box on the Rock does a weekly tournament, and I follow them on social media. They do a great job, by the way, if you're ever down there in Fort Atkinson. But anyway, they've been running walleye tournaments, and they've been getting good fish out here, mostly trolling out in the main lake. And I've heard about some white bass out there too, I guess. But that's all I know down that way. I guess the catfish bite up at Beaver Dam sounds like it's rocking and rolling again. Devil's Lake, they've been getting some trout. They're starting to move out a little bit deeper as the water starts to warm. Otherwise, on the river, you know, great time of year to be out there. Flows are down. They were up a little bit, well, from the rain we got this week, but they're down at the Dells, and they're a little high down here at Muscadet, but that's just the water moving out of the system. For smallmouth and walleye, look to outside bends, the downstream side of sandbars, shoreline wood, all your kind of typical spots. Anywhere there's like maybe a little increase in current or some rock are all great areas to try for smallies and walleyes. Otherwise, the dams, same thing on any river. The dams are always going to have a nice mixed bag of fish, and you never really know what you'll catch. But that's just going to be kind of on cruise control for the rest of the summer here. Lake Wisconsin sounds like a good panfish bite in many of the shallow bays around the lake, and it sounds like the walleye and sauger have moved back into the lake. I've heard about, you know, some good numbers, but not like much in the way of size, I guess. Yeah, Dells Dam, I'm sure there's a nice mixed bag there. Same thing at Petenwell and Castle Rock. So out to the Mississippi, haven't heard much from many folks fishing over there other than the folks that go over to use the barges. And it sounds like fishing's been, you know, kind of slow. Mixed bag, you know, white bass, pike, walleye, sturgeon. You just never really know what you'll find. Over to the big lake over here in Milwaukee. It sounds like the charters are getting some king salmon out on the big lake. The coho is starting to wind down a little bit as those fish move out deeper and deeper. And the coho are moving up the shore, so I don't even know if shore guys are getting them anymore. Maybe up in Sheboygan and Manitowoc by now. But yeah, the charters are they get fish all summer. So otherwise, in the city of Milwaukee, the Milwaukee River is a great smallmouth and pike river during the summer, and it'll remain that way. It's a really great wading in an urban environment, and I do it many times a year, and I enjoy it. It's fun. Otherwise, we can get into trout over here with streams generally being low and clear. Conditions can be a little challenging, but you know, if you're running spinning gear stuff, suspending jerk baits and lures like husky jerks and countdowns by Rapala always work on the spinning gear side of things. Suspending and I'm sorry, Rapala husky jerks and countdowns always work. Crappie sized tube jigs are good. Slowly work through deeper runs and pools. And of course, Panther Martin spinners are hard to beat. If it's live bait you're using, it's really hard to beat. Just a redworm drifted through runs and tailouts. Otherwise, on the dry fly side of things, we'll just get into our Happy Fly Day feature here. And, as always, nymphs, woolly buggers, and stuff will work anytime the fish aren't looking up. But, as we move, we're kind of moving out of dry fly season now. I mean, you'll still find hatches all summer long. Most of those will be limited to mornings and evenings when the temperatures are cooler, and then kind of being a little bit dead during the day. But you've got blue-winged olives and caddis, and you'll see both of those. Like I said, usually in the evenings. Otherwise, if you want to, you could come across this time of year. There's just a kind of a mixed bag of mayflies that come off. So you got sulfurs that might come off usually in the evening. Um, Crane flies, they can hatch any time of the day. You got nymph versions of those flies are all good to have in your box in case you see some of those fish around. And then the hexagenia hatch. So the hex is the largest fly that hatches in Wisconsin, our largest mayfly, and it comes off at night. So it's a challenging and very exciting way to fish for panfish, but or for trout. I'm sorry, but it's a very spotty hatch, and the bugs that come off are not easy to track down. But if you're looking for some deep knowledge on this, Harley that works here at the shop really knows what he's talking about. So give us a call, and you can book a trip with him. He has his guide license now, and he's been guiding people to fish the hex and been running into some fish. So it's good to see. Otherwise, on the dry fly side of things, terrestrials. We're getting into terrestrial season. We got ants are great. This little foam ant is awesome. I got a whole bunch more coming in on an order. Other little flying ants, crickets, and beetles. I got a bunch more of those coming in too. So swing in and stock up. That's going to be basically the dry fly bite all the rest of the summer until we get into hopper season here in the fall. Other than that, I think that pretty much does it for the report. I do want to thank you for tuning in. And if you have any questions and want me to expand on anything, you can call the shop here at 241-4225, and we can let you know what we're hearing around town. Otherwise, I do wish you luck out there, and we will talk to you next week. Take care.